Excellent.
Hey guys, this is International Pro Wrestling Superstar Donovan Dijak, and you are feasting your ears on the War Report.
I like that. I really like that. Our friend Donovan Dijak, who, even though I scooped this or tried to scoop everybody, did not debut at the G1 Climax for New Japan, as I said last week. It didn't happen. But this is the War Report, brought to you by TagMeADate.com, the first and only dating site exclusively for wrestling fans. If you missed last week's episode with Mr. Donovan Dijak, you can go to our YouTube channel right now. If you're listening, you can just go back and take a look. Save the watch later. Press that button. I always use that because there are a bunch of videos that I want to watch at the same time. So I just push the little watch later thing, and then I can watch it after the whatever I'm doing. So go back and listen to it if you haven't. We're here now. It's this week. We don't have Dijak with us, but lots of things happening in wrestling. I wanted to also ask a question about the programming on the WWE Network. Aside from the actual wrestling itself and the storylines, we'll get into a discussion about the WWE Network because I've heard a lot about budget cuts and profitability and shows being canceled and this and that, and no pyro.
We definitely are going to have an in-depth conversation about that this evening because I have some things to add to that.
Excellent. So we've got a lot to discuss. I'll go around the room. We'll start, of course, with Steve, our fearless leader, the CEO of Tag Me a Date. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Can't complain.
Excellent.
How about yourself?
You know, living medium large.
There you go.
So, and next, of course, we have Kat. How are you, Kat?
I am doing great. We had a really good show last week, and then I'm looking forward to this week so that we could talk about Battleground and all the other good stuff that's happened.
Oh, Maron. Yes, all of that stuff to talk about. See, usually because your last name is Jarrett, they would go Jarrett, but you have the single. So you could be like JARE if you ever met Jeff. You could give him that.
Yeah, I have the single R and I have the single dollars. I don't have the money per R or per T to increase my cash flow.
Listen, I saw that guy selling cash for gold last year on the internet. You might be doing better than him. Who knows?
You never know.
You have dozens and dozens of dollars?
Dozens and dozens of the GFW gold, which thank God that is no longer a thing. Eric, how are you, sir?
I'm great. Coming off of last week's show, I'm pumped for the rest of them, you know? So let's
Likewise, man. Likewise. It's, good stuff. Do we want to start with storyline stuff, or do we want to start with the network stuff?
I say, why don't we start with the network stuff?
All right, because
I have a question to start the whole
yes, let's start it
off. Yes. And my question would be, can anyone tell me that the WWE is hurting for money? I mean,
I just went to WrestleMania. They seem to be doing pretty well.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, between the video games, the merchandise, the fucking revenue. I mean, come on, the network stuff. You're taking away pyro, which I'm hoping at least they're going to use at just pay-per-views. But nonetheless, you're taking away pyro. You're taking away some of the shows that we all love on the network. It's just. Like, are they that hard up? I mean, they almost are making it seem like they're in trouble. And I can't imagine that they are. Their stock is still doing well. So I'm a little confused as to why we're doing all these things. Now, maybe they have a reason, you know, but I can't imagine that they're hurting for money.
Yeah, I mean... I guess it's a profitability thing for the network. They aren't gaining as many new subscribers, and if they are gaining new subscribers, they're kind of losing older subscribers because I suppose at that point they've watched everything they want to consume on the network. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. They don't want to invest money into it because it's expensive to make new programming, but at the same time, they have to invest in programming that people want to continue to pay $9.99 a month for, or $10.99 a month for, whatever the fee is.
Well, I will tell you to piggyback on what you're saying. From what I'm hearing, that there has been talks about officially leaving USA Network and having both Raw and SmackDown on the network every week, which will then anybody that's not subscribed that doesn't want to watch the weekly show is going to have no choice but to subscribe.
Yeah, I think that would kill the business. I mean,
well, that's just what I'm saying. I think that's kind of a greedy kind of thing to do.
There was an idea. Did you see the one that they said Raw might go to Facebook within the next 3 years?
Yeah, I heard. I hope that's not fucking true.
Yeah, I know, but at the same time, you can every device now is a smart device. It's connected to the internet. I suppose if you wanted to stream Raw from somewhere, whether it's YouTube or whatever, you could do it. How many? But I guess that's also another. That's another question. Do you have what's the revenue stream coming in off of Facebook? Is it advertising dollars? Do you do traditional commercials like you would do on a regular televised broadcast? There are a lot of questions about moving from traditional media to digital media, and the WWE thought they had it figured out, and they don't quite have it all the way there yet, because when they first started with the WWE Network idea, they were actually going to buy the channel slot from, I believe it was G4 Network. G4 and Tech TV had two channels, and then they merged to G4 Tech TV, and then G4 was selling it off. And right before they sold it off to WWE, they sold it to Esquire. So there's a new channel, Esquire Men, that's been out for about 2 or 3 years now. And that was kind of their last hope of doing a cable service network. But then they went to the streaming idea, which is brilliant. And then the first day that you tried to stream stuff, everything was frozen for like at least, if not the first day, the first week. It's a learning curve. It's not Netflix right now. Maybe it will be, but as I hate to bring it up again, it's a double-edged sort of investing money versus what your return is. Do you want to pay ICW in Scotland to put shows on the network? So then you have Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne and all those guys on another program. They're WWE superstars, but they get to work their hometowns in Scotland and England and Ireland and all that stuff. Do you take in a Japanese promotion? Do you take in American independent promotions like Evolve? Do you put them on your network to say, hey, look at the added value. You don't just get our wrestling, you get this wrestling. So I'm not sure what the solution is. I'm no genius. They have definitely not a genius after that. They have a lot smarter people than me working at the WWE headquarters right now trying to figure this shit out. So hopefully they find a solution. But
I mean, my feeling is they're forecasting. They're predicting. Right. They're predicting that in the next few years, they're going to need to change the way they roll out their shows to attract new and existing customers. So they must be running all different kinds of software predictions and algorithms, for their forecasting. I just hope it doesn't go that way, because I'm with you, Vince. I think it's going to really, really hurt the business a lot, especially for the way that we've always known it to be.
We are in odd times, because a lot of things that we thought were kind of quaint ideas have come back around, and at the same time, a lot of our traditional ideas about wrestling are also gone. Some of the quaint ideas that are still around are there's not a traditional territory system anymore, in terms of you don't have the NWA and the AWA and all the other promotions stretched throughout the regions. But you notice in the Northeast, you've got a couple. You've got Northeast, you've got Ring of Honor, and you've got XWA. You've got Beyond, Blitzkrieg. You've got a handful, and that's like, in those 5 or 6 companies, you've got these 15 guys that always work. You're Dijaks and you're Warbeards and you're this one and you're that one and whomever. They're always going to be working this territory. And then when you start to get down to Philly, it's still Ring of Honor, but then there's other promotions south of Philly. And then you notice that those are the North Carolina guys and the South Carolina guys. So when you get to the Mid-Atlantic, you see these guys show up on GFW, or you see them show up on Impact or whatever it is. But they also maintain PWX and a bunch of other indies down there. And then you go to Texas, or you go to where Evolve is in Illinois and Chicago area, and FIP down in Florida. You've got, and PWG out in California, and there's some stuff out in the Pacific Northwest. There's Hood Slam. So there's regions. It's almost like we're back to the territory system. What we don't have is that governing. We don't have an NWA in a traditional sense. Although, congratulations, Tim Storm. I think you're still champion. Good job, buddy. I got to check that now. All right, here we go. This is our biannual Tim Storm update. He is still the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion at 52 years of age.
God bless him.
Oh,
Nice.
He's had it for almost a year. He won it in October. So that's our Tim Storm update. But no, so we've got this kind of territory idea back. Wrestling is really on the underground roots and the level of house shows and people attending. It's popular. It's popular on the internet, but you have to break through to getting the people from the screens here in La La Land and getting to invest, because there's a lot of free content. So how do you get them to invest their money in the paid content?
Well, can I interject a point
Yes,
too?
please. Yes.
The thing with the WWE Network, a lot of the shows are great. We all know we love Talking Smack, Table for Three. All those shows are great and everything.
Right along.
But absolutely,
Yeah.
right along too. But the thing is, and we've made this complaint a couple of times. A lot of people are backing off to an extent because there's so many fucking pay-per-views. Every other week, there's another pay-per-view. There's another thing that you have to keep jumping into. And it's like, damn, do I really want to? I'm not not kicking out the network, but it's like, do I really want to watch another one? I just spent 3 hours 2 weeks ago watching it for a match that I'm not even sure that I even really want to watch. You know? So that brings a factor into it too, because I know a lot of people have bounced out and then you get the recaps on Monday and Tuesday night anyway. They spend a good hour of a 3-hour show telling you everything you just missed on Sunday.
Yeah, we talked about this in the group message that we all have, is that and I know that there were always stinker pay-per-views. You'd buy a pay-per-view and regret that you spent $35. But back in the day, if you spent $35, you at least knew the matches were going to be marquee matches. Like it was like Hulk Hogan against DDP and Karl Malone. That's not going to be a technical classic, but it's a big main event. It's shit like that. Now we don't even get the celebrities show up on Raw. They don't show up on the pay-per-view. So if everything is pushed towards TV because the advertising dollars are on the TV and the commercials are on the TV, they really did kind of hamstring themselves putting the pay-per-views behind this paywall of $9.99 because A, it's cheap, and B, some people just don't want to find it. People might just be – I know sometimes if I'm sitting on my TV, I'd rather just click a thing on the remote and order it rather than, I got to go log in and do all this other shit. Like if I could just go through my Comcast box and there you go.
And back in the day when you had it, you could put a VHS in the tape recorder and hit record, and you had a copy of it that you can rewind and fast forward anything you wanted when you watch the pay-per-views on TV too. It just made it easier. I don't know. I just think that has to definitely be a contributing factor.
And it's a great service, but it's a very niche service. We already know this. We're in the business of trying to get wrestling fans to go on a dating website. You're already taking a population of everybody and then shrinking it to wrestling fans, and then shrinking it to single wrestling fans. This is you're going from the world to wrestling fans to people who know enough about technology to want to do this, because there's an older generation of wrestling fans that might not want to do this shit, or there might be kids that don't know how to do it. There could be any in-between number of people who don't have the technological prowess to even just put in a credit card and a password. It's hard. It is hard for some people. There is a barrier to access. It's funny we're talking about it. I really don't know what the solution is. Netflix, it was almost like Netflix decided they were going to bite the bullet on these original programs. Like they paid for House of Cards and all this other stuff, and they took a risk because, yes, it's Kevin Spacey. It's a big deal, but you had to pay Kevin Spacey. You had to pay everybody to produce this really high-quality television show. That ended up working out for them. Look at Glow. Glow is the best booked wrestling show I've watched in months, and it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
And they figured out a system where and again, it's movies and TV shows versus just wrestling content, but there's a big internet crowd. There's a big crowd of Japanese wrestling fans. There's independent wrestling fans. And I know right now the problem is everybody has a service. Every service is $9.99 a month. And whether it's Northeast Wrestling or whether it's Ring of Honor on demand or whether it's WWE Network or the Impact on demand or Evolve with Flow. Flow Slam's $30 a month. I know you get a bunch of promotions, but it's $30 a month for Flow Slam. Everybody wants you to stream, and it's behind a paywall. Now, would people be more apt to pay a one-time fee for one show? Like, would that be a thing where they should say, hey, you know, you can, like the UFC does, you can sign up for their streaming service, but then you can also, if you want to buy an individual event, and I think Ring of Honor does that too, you can sign up for their streaming service or just buy individual events, and that you pay more for the individual event, but the idea is like you're buying in bulk by signing up for the subscription. You're paying a little bit of a penalty for buying a single event. So maybe that's something else that they could look into, but I don't want to see all of this stuff go away, because then you realize once the shows go away, the talent goes away. So you're going to have less Renees and more fucking Sam Roberts.
Right. Oh,
And
God.
Jesus Christ. That boy needs a haircut. All right, everybody listening, if you're on Twitter,
He got
Go
a
to
haircut and it's still that way.
I know. Well, he needs a real haircut, not by somebody who has epilepsy. You need to go to Twitter and you go to @NotSam, even though he really is Sam. He's @NotSam. And you just need to go get a haircut. Just admit, I mean, listen, he's got a 6 head. Forget about a 4 head or a 5 head. He's multiplied. He just needs to shave that shit off. So, and then we'd have more. Yeah, could you imagine a world where they just canceled a game show starring R-Truth, but there's a show on the network starring Peter Rosenberg?
I happen to like Peter Rosenberg.
I know, but I'm just saying, look at this. The guy's not even an employee. I mean, he is, but he's not. He's a 104 or a Hot 97.
Hot 97.
Whatever he is. Yeah, he's a Hot 90. 104 is one of our local popular stations. I'm getting all my areas all confused. But yeah, he's a Hot 97 guy. He's not like they can't. Can you imagine R-Truth going back? It's a conspiracy.
They could always
I know
bring back Todd Pettengill.
They could, you know what? And actually, wait, no, because he used to do Scott and Todd, and now he's doing
Yep.
Todd and Jade. Is
Yep.
that what it is now? Oh God, I can't believe that's still on the air.
Yep.
Does he still do the phone scam?
Yes, he does. He still does phony calls.
Hello,
really?
I'm going to rip off the Jerky Boys for my voice. You know, that's he does the Saul voice. But anyway, back to it. Yeah, it's just weird that they have these outside guys that I think they can get for pretty cheap, because it's like, hey, it's exposure. It's a WWE. Realistically, Rosenberg and Sam Roberts both want to work for the WWE one day and fuck the whole radio thing. So
yeah.
it's a good relationship for them, but at the same time, then you're looking, if you're a guy like R-Truth, you're like, my show just got canceled. And you're like, if you're Renee and Daniel Bryan, you're like, Talking Smack just got canceled. And all this stuff is wrong, but Rosenberg and JBL are going to sit there and yell at the internet fans for half an hour. And it's really not Rosenberg. It's Rosenberg setting it up. He has to ask the question. I feel so bad. He asks a question and then has to wait as JBL verbally abuses him and the rest of the audience about how wrong their opinion is.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, I mean, it's not an easy job. He has to introduce a lot of dicey subjects and then have JBL act as the voice of the company. But
Renee's petition is up to 150 signatures, by the way.
wonderful. Yeah, that just shows the audience engagement. Honestly, something like Talking Smack, and even if it came back in a shortened format, 10 or 15 minutes, that's something you put up for free on YouTube. You get a fucking million views on it in the first day because people just consume that kind of content. And then you put ads on it, and then it's monetized, and it pays for itself. I mean, I know that I understand. It's a live broadcast. There's switching. There's technical directors. There's cameramen. There's all kinds of stuff that we have to do for that. But a show like Ride Along, it's 2 GoPros.
Well, they didn't cancel Ride Along.
Okay, I'm just glad, because I'm just using an example.
I
Ride Along is the cheapest show they produce.
Announced. I can't say for sure, but you're right. That's cheap as hell to.
Hopefully, leave that. And honestly, there are so many times where you just think about like a wrestler and what they do in their off hours, and what I know Ride Along kind of covers this, but think about a guy like John Morrison, who used to do, he would do parkour, or like that Darewolf, what's his name, PJ Black, and he did like skydiving and shit. Now just imagine a show where you have or like Dean goes rock climbing, and you just give him a camera and just say, hey, whatever you do in your day, just be you. Record some shit. We'll put a show together, a day in the life of Dean Ambrose, and he just goes to the mall with a mask on and makes fun of people. Like, I don't know, any number of things they could try and do for original programming that's cheap, because reality programming is cheap. Live programming costs a lot of money. Reality programming is cheap, so the more they do with that, they might be able to attract more people. I'm going to open it up to the floor.
Did you see the Talking Smack they did on Tout last week?
They call it
You're not my dad.
You're
I'm
only
your
5 years younger than me.
Right? I love that part. You're only 5 years, and he shoves him. He just gives a big shove.
That was brilliant.
Real quick, I want to talk about Table for Three. I saw one recently. The Nation reunited. It was Mark Henry,
Yeah,
The
I watched
Godfather,
it.
and Ron Simmons. Probably one of, if not my favorite ones that I've seen.
No kidding.
It
Yeah,
was
that
just
was.
so
I saw
good.
parts of that. That was good.
And The Rock, Dwayne, did his little thing where he gave a Rolex to Godfather, gave a Rolex to Mark Henry. Ron Simmons gets a picture of The Rock again. But piggybacking on this whole thing, it brings me to. It's a good segue to bring to. In the words of George Carlin, I've got some complaints and grievances. I know Steve would appreciate that.
That's a good album.
I want to talk about tonight. John Cena, Shinsuke Nakamura.
Oh boy.
Uh,
The floor is yours, man. You've been waiting to talk about this all week.
Chomping at the bit. 1 fucking week of build-up for this shit. This is a marquee match. At the very least, a B pay-per-view, if not a fucking SummerSlam or WrestleMania caliber match. There's no build. On a fucking SmackDown, I'm sorry, this is ridiculous.
Well, now hold on, Eric. I got to jump in here for a minute because I understand what you're saying and I see your point.
I'm old school.
However, I don't think this match is fully happening. I think the match will start. But in my opinion, you can't have Shinsuke lose and you can't have Cena lose. So I feel like it's going to be a no contest. Khali, Jinder will probably get involved. I think ultimately they're going to tease John Cena, Shinsuke, and I could see that match being for the title at Mania. And they're just kind of giving us a little taste. But I think the idea is going to be you got Raw doing a fatal 4-way for the title. I think SmackDown winds up doing a triple threat for the title. And that's kind of what they're going to set up.
Okay. Well, look, and I hope you're right, and I hope it does go that way. Because in my opinion, the best way to book this match is to not actually go through with the match.
Right. Give us a little teaser, a taste.
Yeah, there's odds that Baron Corbin, because he's feuding with Shinsuke right now, he can end up like blowing it, at the beginning. Like he could just attack Nakamura before the match even starts, or right when it starts, some kind of DQ, some kind of non-finish kind of thing. You can't have a long drawn-out match with one or the other winning, which would be at a normal pay-per-view, because you're right. Shinsuke can't lose, but Cena can't lose. I'm pretty sure, and I wouldn't be mad at Cena beating Nakamura. That it has nothing to do with winning or losing, because frankly, I don't think Shinsuke's ready just yet. Mania time, I can see that, but not right now. I don't know. I just think that I'm a little old school. I hope it goes down like you said, or like I said. I think it will. I don't think there's going to be an actual match, or an actual like a long match. Because you're right. Neither can afford the loss right now. I still think somehow.
Well, listen. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure since Shinsuke's come to the main roster, he has not lost.
Did he lose to Dolph at all during that feud, or no?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, he did not. You're right. He did not lose yet.
So to have him lose against Cena now does nothing for Shinsuke.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Cena is building momentum to get back in the title picture, so he's not losing. And it's SummerSlam. He's not losing.
Yes.
So,
no, but again, like I'm
or
saying,
SmackDown rather.
I wouldn't be mad if Shinsuke lost straight up to Cena if it was at SummerSlam. That's a different story. But on a SmackDown, like you're right. I think what's going to happen is going to be some kind of non-match, non-finish bullshit thing, which could lead to a triple threat, or they could redo their entire idea and end up doing like a little battle royal, and that's how you get Cena in there, without Nakamura having to lose, something like
Now,
that.
here's the other question. You guys have seen the poster, right?
For
Yep.
For SummerSlam?
Slam,
Yeah.
yep.
The SummerSlam poster has Shinsuke and Cena and Jinder on it, and the four guys in the Fatal 4-Way from or 5 guys, whatever it is. 4 guys
so
in
I'm
the
right.
Raw one,
So
right?
it's gonna be a triple threat.
And it's got all the women on it. It seems to me like we've got WrestleMania 2000 happening again at SummerSlam 2017, because every match is a some kind of multi-person match.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's fun. It doesn't happen that often.
No, it's something a little different.
Yeah, I mean, look, you got Jericho somewhat mixed into the U.S. title thing again.
Right.
That triple threat we just saw last week on SmackDown could very well happen again at SummerSlam.
That's true.
Also,
I'm done with that topic, but here's I just wanted to throw this,
he's done it. He just throws it away.
I just want to throw this out there. Can you see at WrestleMania a WWE 4 horsewomen versus MMA 4 horsewomen? What do you think about that? Is that a possibility?
For SummerSlam?
No, for WrestleMania.
Oh,
next
for WrestleMania. Okay. Yes, possibly.
I mean, I'll tell you this. I think Vince and Dana White's relationship is pretty solid. I mean, that's evident with us being able to work with what's her face.
What's her face?
Why did I
Dixie
just
Carter?
Not Dixie. For the UFC. Ronda Rousey.
Oh, Ronda. Okay.
Just the fact that Ronda participated in a match, and then she recently did. She was invited to something WWE was doing.
Yeah, she's
And
in
now-
the women's tournament.
Right, and now there's talks of serious talks of her possibly coming. So I think it's definitely possible, but I think a lot of it would really be in Dana White's hands. I think more than Vince.
Yeah, well, here's an interesting thing. There was an interview yesterday or the day before from Rich Brennan. Remember Rich Brennan?
I know
I
the
like-
name.
Announcer with WWE. Yeah, so he did an interview with WrestleZone, and here's his quote on UFC fighters calling out WWE stars. I'm looking more big picture. Is this the beginning of a major play for WME/IMG or -IMG? That's the agency, the talent agency that purchased the UFC. It's been talked about, and they've made overtures towards buying WWE before. At least it's been talked about. I wonder if this is the beginning of that. We have heard that it's a possibility that Vince wants to divest. That's been talked about. So is this? It almost would make sense where if Vince is trying to sell off shares to WME, who already owns the UFC, that him and Dana are going to show, hey, look, we can work together here. And we can feed back and forth. Because you know what? Shinsuke's had professional MMA fights. Alberto had professional MMA fights. Brock's had several professional MMA fights. You could have guys who, and I'm not saying they have to be world beaters, but you could have guys who could make the transition. Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly's legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, I believe. And so isn't Jack Gallagher. Jack Gallagher actually won an MMA match a couple months ago. So who knows, man? If this is the actual direction they're going to go, I would be all for it, because the UFC right now is doing nothing for me, because I don't particularly like John Jones. Conor McGregor's not fighting. Nick and Nate Diaz aren't fighting until they fight Conor, so they're not going to fight at all. Where the fuck is Khabib? He keeps getting injured. Ronda's done. Holly Holm got her head kicked in a bunch of times. Nobody really cares about Cyborg unless she's fighting a bigger name, because none of the big names want to fight her because they're so afraid of her, with reason. I'm really okay with blurring the lines here, because leading in, this was a good segue. On Twitter and Instagram, Becky Lynch and Chris Cyborg are in a feud and have mutually challenged each other to a wrestling match at SummerSlam this summer.
Wow. Wow.
Is this another step where here's the talent exchange? Brock goes to the UFC for that one fight to pop a big rating for them. Cyborg comes to the WWE for a big buy rate for them. So every couple months, if somebody's pay-per-view numbers aren't as good, boom, John Jones is out kicking Roman Reigns in the head. Who knows? He doesn't have to wrestle a match, but he can kick him or some shit.
Please, someone kick Roman Reigns so I don't have to marry him.
Oh yes, if you don't follow Kat on Facebook, she found out that according to internet gurus, her perfect WWE match is Roman Reigns.
I quit. I submit to the I quit match. I'm done.
Oh boy.
I don't want it.
This whole UFC thing, this is what they wanted to do in the mid-90s that they weren't able to do yet because UFC wasn't as popular just yet. You know, trying like Ken Shamrock and Dan Severn and these guys. It didn't work out with all those guys. You know, they just weren't ready. Now UFC is this huge brand compared to what it was 20 years ago. You know.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Listen, WWE was and still is, because it's cyclical, as you know, there are ups and downs. We're really on an upswing right now, believe it or not. Wrestling in the past 3 to 5 years has become more relevant than ever with the rise of The Rock and John Cena as legit movie stars. You've got guys, Roman Reigns, John Cena, etc., making the crossover to like the Today Show and just showing up on ESPN, the ESPY Awards. John Cena's really been a good ambassador, as shitty as his wrestling and booking has been over the last decade and a half. But he's been a great brand ambassador, and there are other guys that are, they're continuing that. It's relevant. What was that?
So was The Miz.
The Miz, Rollins showed up on The Daily Show. Foley showed up on The Daily Show. Wrestling is relevant now, and we're not at the fucking rock and wrestling era of the '80s where that was about, that was the biggest wrestling had ever been and probably ever will be. But we have an opportunity to at least grab a small piece of that again because wrestling is recognized worldwide. You've got your guys from India, your guys from the UK, your guys from overseas that are also becoming more relevant. Japan is becoming a lot more relevant in the United States with their wrestling programming. So I think while we're lamenting these shows being canceled and Pyro being cut back and all that, I think we're in a good spot for, if things tip the right way, having a really good, solid era. Because think about it. We've got these guys that we all are enjoying on the indies right now. Well, 5-6 years ago, who were we enjoying on the indies? Guys like Samoa Joe and AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels and all these guys that have been TNA world champions and Ring of Honor world champions, and now they're on the fucking big show. So these guys that we're watching on the indies, your Dijaks, your Warbeards, et cetera, these are guys you're going to be watching in a big show in a couple years.
100%.
I think the future, at least the short-term future, is in good hands. It's really just the way somebody steers the ship. If the booking gets steered a certain way or if the financial plans get steered a certain way, who knows what's going to happen. But there's a lot of potential there with the talent that's in the WWE and in NXT right now, and then the talent that's on the indies and internationally. It's stacked. If they grabbed any of those main event guys from New Japan and threw them in the main event of WWE, they'd sell out. It's the same thing as Shinsuke. I know Hideo Itami didn't work out as much, but you know why?
Well, he was injury prone. That was his problem.
Yeah, but also they changed his name. He was Kenta.
Right.
It's
Such
Kenta.
A badass name.
It's just Kenta. That's all. That's all he needed. He didn't need two names. He didn't need to sound like a middle relief pitcher for the goddamn Pittsburgh Pirates or something like that. We don't need a two name. They already hate two names. They just killed Elias Sampson. He's now Elias. So why give the guy two names that nobody that aren't even, they're not even like Hideo Itami. Like Hideo, yeah, everybody knows Hideo, but Itami is like, that's a brand of kick pads for martial arts or something. I don't even know what the fuck that would be. Just call him Kenta. His fucking name is Kenta.
It's so badass too.
It's different, okay, Asuka was Kana. Okay, Asuka, but Asuka's still a bad name, badass name, and she ran with it. But you're right. No, like
But it's
something.
similar. It's at least similar.
He was so known as Kenta, more so than Asuka was as Kana, that it just made sense. It's simple and badass, you know. It's different. It depends. Finn Balor, they changed his name to Finn Balor. It ended up working out, but that's also more so because of the gimmick they gave him and that they allowed him to do.
Yeah, and yeah, some people like Prince Devitt. Listen, I wasn't in love with the name Prince Devitt. So I didn't really follow him at that point, so I didn't have a particular, like most people kind of have an attachment to that name. No, it really wasn't for me. Finn Balor, I didn't love because then there's the accent over the A, and are people going to call it Balor or Baylor? I called it Baylor for like a Hey Baylor. The Office, don't put your hand in the Baylor, Michael. But I called him Baylor for a little while because I thought they were ripping from Game of Thrones, the Sept of Baelor and the statue of Baelor that's part of the mythology there. So like with the accent over the A, I thought they were trying to go the Game of Thronesy route, but they were going the Celtic mythology route, which is fine, but it took a while to establish that name for him.
Absolutely.
And then now, if you notice, a lot of these guys are coming in with their known names. AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. A couple of guys like that, you know.
Well,
Bobby Roode.
They tried a couple things. They tried one experiment where everybody that came in, they pulled two names out of the hat and then they just shoved them together. They gave you two first names, like, you know, Adam Bryce or Trevor Daniels, or, you know, we could just come up with a bunch of stupid NXT names really easily.
Cassius Ohno.
Right, yeah, they wanted to make sure it was something they could trademark.
Chris Hero he's an awesome wrestling.
I will never not call him Piss Taco because of that goddamn ICP video. When the ICP first put out I forget what it was, Bloody Mania or something, they called him, it was Chris Hero, but then they were on commentary, Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope, and they were calling him Piss Taco the whole time. And they said it enough where it burned into my brain. And I mean, I've been watching Chris Hero wrestle for, Jesus, I was in 2005, I've really started getting into the indies, so I mean, a long time now. And I still just go, oh, the good old Piss Taco. Wherever he is, I'll just say Piss Taco. But he wrestles, he's fat, but he wrestles like a motherfucker. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
We can acknowledge it. He's just chubby. He's got it's so weird because he's like, it's not like Samoa Joe, where Samoa Joe is just kind of thick in general. He just has like the midsection thing, like the spare tire, and that's it, because his legs are like in shape and his arms are in shape. It's just I don't think he drinks beer or anything, but
Give him a shirt to wear. Cool, that's all you need.
Yeah, right. He puts on those jerseys, and that looks the jersey look is actually pretty good for him. And I wish more guys would adopt unique attire like that, because there are a lot of guys who shouldn't be wrestling in tights with no shirt.
And a lot of them look the same and boring and generic with the same attire.
Yeah, there was a point back when right around, like, I want to say 2008 through about 2011, 2012, where like everybody was a creator wrestler. Know what I mean? It was like they all had the black. It was like boots, and then like maybe bikers. Like one of the fads was the biker shorts with the knee pads and the elbow pads, and you'd come out all padded up like you were ready to go to the roller derby. That was a fun time. Everybody wore the wet leather. Remember the wet leather look?
Oh my God.
Oh, that was like Trip. It was like if you couldn't afford wrestling gear, you'd buy Trip pants at Hot Topic, because that's what the Hardy Boys did.
I mean, look at John Cena. John Cena, his attire is like a fucking 12-year-old, but at the same time, it's different at least. It stands out.
Yeah.
That's why
it works for him.
On Roman Reigns, they kept the vest on him to make him look slightly bigger than he actually is.
Yeah, I think he's not as thick.
Don't get me wrong, he's in good shape, but he's not like this huge muscle guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a good
Absolutely.
He's got a good physique, but he's not a muscle guy physique, you know.
Right.
But no one, I'm telling you, no one wore the vest like D'Lo Brown though.
D'Lo Brown rocked the shit out of that vest.
I can't wobble my head. I tried.
Let's see. Wait, hold on. I gotta put the camera back on.
You got to put it on. Come on.
I don't know. We all gotta try. That's more like the Stone Cold one when he punches somebody and they go. That's I'm not really getting the full because he used to put his arms out and he.
And then the leg drop
You
and
look at the real deal, man.
Oh,
I love D'Lo.
I mean, it's.
He's
I
gonna
was
be
there for Todd, so I can't look at him the same. I can't.
Listen, I'm all for D'Lo Brown doing anything in wrestling because I'm a big D'Lo Brown fan. So he could just come back and
he's
just.
gonna be
That's
he's gonna
it.
be WrestleCade, but unfortunately they're putting him in the Aces and Eights attire.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Because they can't do any WWE stuff for it.
Aw.
He's gonna be in his Aces and Eights attire.
Oh boy.
I'm still gonna go meet him because he's fucking
Yes.
D'Lo.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Is Nux gonna be there?
I don't think so.
Knox. My mom hated Mike Knox, and I couldn't tell you why. She just hated. Oh no, you know why? Because he beat Stevie Richards, and she loves Stevie Richards.
Oh.
I remember that now. There was a point where,
Kelly bad.
right? So she actually one time we were in a toy store, and there was a Mike Knox action figure, and she put it on the ground and stepped on it, and had me take a picture. She had me take a picture of it and send it to Stevie. She didn't break it or nothing. She just stepped on it a little bit. But she wanted to show him her dedication to his fandom. So she's a big fan.
I want to get the No Way Jose figure. It looks awesome.
No Way Jose, as stupid of a gimmick as that is,
I love it. I don't know
it's
why.
great. I mean, it's fun.
It's fun.
Yes.
The guy dances. It's good.
I'm embracing my fun.
It's a lot has to do with the song. They figured out how to get the No Way. Like you automatically got behind him because it was easy to go No Way Jose. Like that's an easy chant for the audience to get behind. Listen, he's never going to be world champion unless he, if he pulls the old Jinder Mahal.
Not
I was going to say that.
Not everybody's going to be the same.
What is that? What is that?
I think it's one of the best theme songs today.
It's one of the best theme songs today. But
I
to
love
tie
it.
everything in,
You're looking at the
yeah.
Really.
Oh man,
D'Lo Brown.
That was a great song.
Jim Johnson. I know it's the CFOs now, but God bless you, Jim Johnson. You made some great music.
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
The CFOs make really good loops. The thing that bugs me about the CFOs stuff is that they do one verse and one chorus and then just repeat the verse again 2 or 3 times. Like AJ Styles' song, I could listen to that fucking song all day if it had lyrics, but it's the same. I'm a Southern boy with the farmer straight. Ain't nobody brave enough to feel the pain. It's this. They put that verse 3 times. You listen to that 3 times. Just put. All you had to do is write other lyrics about being a redneck. It's not
What
hard.
about the revival?
The revival. Go hard all day, all night. Yeah, I that's not bad either. I mean, they're not. I don't get the Southern vibe off them, but I like. They really remind me more of like the Minnesota Wrecking Crew than they do a Southern tag team. But
Yeah.
hey, I like the song is good. What about what was it, Murphy and what's his face? They had that terrible theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that awful song?
Which
It was
they
like this-
modified Alexa's song after someone.
Yeah, but they made, because they were heels, they made it like the most obnoxious possible
Yeah.
dubstep song. Which,
Yeah, it was,
speaking of music, let's take a vote. Who wants Big Cass to drown whoever made that song for him?
You know
I
what's
do.
You know what's amazing? I hated his music, And then I couldn't wait for them to change it. They changed it, and it's even worse.
It really is.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
that's awful.
Did they change it again?
Yeah.
Oh man, did you see? They also did Rollins. They updated Rollins' theme a little bit.
Yeah, they added that "Burn It Down" or something at the beginning.
Yeah, and the guy screams,
Yeah.
and at first you thought it was like some random fan screaming it, but then you realize it's part of the words now.
I kind of like it actually.
It's not bad, but again, they did. That's the only. They only put that in.
Because they're
They didn't
promoting
put any
his
other
new
words.
shirt.
Yeah.
He's wearing that shirt.
It's not enough of a change up.
Put some lyrics. Like here's the thing. I read something on Reddit earlier today. And it makes complete sense. WWE wants the theme songs to have as little or no lyrics as possible, so that when the guys are coming down to the ring, the announcers can talk over the music and not have to be interrupted by background talking, basically.
Oh, give me a break.
I kind of see that, but then like if you have somebody like Shinsuke, where everybody sings his song in the background, or Sami Zayn, or Daniel Bryan with all the yeses and everything,
Yeah.
So you're still gonna have that interruption.
And I think you can still mute because I mean, geez, when Hogan came out to Real American or Cena comes out to his shit, you just turn it down a little bit, and then the announcers can talk over it. It's not like it's super duper distracting.
They say, how could you have like Shawn Michaels' song if it never had lyrics?
You couldn't.
It would
No.
never work. That's
Girls
what
in cars wouldn't be the same.
Yes. What was that?
Now,
Strike?
don't get me wrong. When Sensational Sherry doing it, turn it all the way down. Really, that was okay. But
I like the Vince version. Have you ever heard that one?
no.
Vince McMahon say, "Oh man, I'm gonna pull that up."
Oh, I want to hear this.
We were talking about the William Shatner version earlier.
Yes. Wait, there's
So-
a Vince McMahon version?
Yeah. Shut up, theme uploader. Okay.
That really move 'em. I feel chill. Up and down the spine, I make 'em pop. I make 'em shiver. And knees get weak. Whenever I'm around, they feel me walk. They hear me talk. I make 'em feel like they're all cloud nine, just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy.
I can almost picture him doing it too.
You know he did that like the same time he did Stand Back. He's like, wait a minute.
Yep. He's got the whole strut going on and everything, I'm sure.
That is so cool.
That works. I don't know why, but just the way Vince does that song, it just worked. It couldn't be for Shawn Michaels because everybody knows it's Vince McMahon's voice, but it's
He is a
great.
genetic jackhammer, so.
He's got grapefruits and all that wonderful stuff.
Intellectual sperm.
Yep. See, that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I miss. I miss seeing Vince doing this shit every week.
Oh, what? Because I missed the podcast a couple times.
No, that time I
Just-
meant McMahon, honey, but that's
Oh,
okay.
Vince McMahon. Okay, good. Because I know some. See, I thought you were calling me out for missing the podcast for a couple weeks. Because I know I missed like last month. I missed a couple. But no, yeah, Vince. What happened to just good old Vince McMahon coming out and like getting poop thrown on him or something?
He just doesn't want to be on TV anymore. That's all I keep hearing.
I think he thinks he looks old. That's my theory. He thinks he looks old, so he doesn't want to be on TV. And listen, everybody looks old. It's been 30 years, man. I don't care if you look older. It's you. You're fired.
It's
Who else
still
can
Vinnie
do that?
Mac.
Exactly. It doesn't matter what he looks like.
He cuts
Right, yeah.
such a good promo. He could be reading the phone book. A. Adams, Aaron. Sounds like an asshole to me. Next, you're fired. And you just run through the You just listen, run through the phone book. You know, he could. That's the kind of talent he has. So he's missed.
I can see Enzo doing the alphabet. Hey, how you doing?
Hey,
How you doing?
be from
awesome.
Brooklyn. You know what I mean? All this good, goofy shit.
Oh, so here's something. We're at the top of the hour, but now it's probably a good time to.
Yes.
So, good news is that GFW has been denied every single trademark application that they filed for anything broken. Now, my question to the panel. Now, my question to the panel is: does that mean that the Hardys can officially do broken.
Let's hope so.
Who knows? Because
That's
there's still there's some weird contractual stuff when you sign up with a corporation. There's usually something in the contract, like when I worked for Apple and I was a low-level retail employee. In your Apple contract, they said that any item you make or create on your time using Apple products or involving Apple products, they could claim as their own or partly as their own because you've used inside resources to help, whether or not you've actually used the inside resources or not, to help develop them with those resources. So, for example, there was a girl who was knitting iPod cases, like hand crocheting her own iPod cases, and she had to run it through the manager, who had to run it through human resources to make sure that if she started making these, that if Apple didn't all of a sudden say, hey, we really like these, yoink, they're ours now, that she had to make sure it was like okay for her to make her own iPod cases because she was working at Apple. It was very weird. So what I'm saying is there could be something where they say, any content that you create out, while under contract, etc. Who knows? So there's particulars that we don't know, and I think because the WWE, I don't think has a financial stake in it. It's just the Hardys against GFW, formerly Impact, I guess Anthem now, the whole company. So GFW is banking or betting on the Hardys not investing the money to take this to court, and that they'll eventually just give up. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're definitely going to 100% take it to court because Matt
have the money.
Is nothing if not stubborn. Yeah, he's got the money, and he's at least partially right. I don't know about legally because I'm not a lawyer. I know about morally, and if the things that he says are true, then he absolutely deserves control of the character because I know for a fact he was able to go on his phone, his cell phone, and pull up a private link to a preview, the raw footage of the broken one of the matches. I forget which one it was. It was the one where Vanguard 1, he had to call Vanguard 1 to him or something, and Vanguard 1 came in the middle of the woods. That was the scene that I saw on his phone. He says, this just came from Jeremy Borash. We were out in my mansion, my backyard, at the plantation, or whatever they want to call it, because they got about 20 goddamn acres out there. They're filming the whole thing there. He's like, we were using his drones, we're using my guys. Kevin Keenan was the referee. Just for a record, Kevin Keenan is not a GFW or Impact employee, and he's not a referee for them. Right now, I don't even think he works for a major company because he stopped working for Ring of Honor sometime last year. Kevin Keenan is just a personal friend of the Hardys. And you know how I know that? Because the first day that Kevin Keenan met Matt Hardy at Northeast Wrestling Show, I was there. The first day Rebby met Matt, I was there. I watched them meet and become a thing. So knowing all the background and the years of connections here, and if I see a guy that's refereeing the match that hasn't been on TV in 12 years, because the last time he was on TV was probably WWE's version of ECW,
Ugh.
he's a call-in. He was a call-in because Matt knew that Kevin could do everything properly as the official for the match. He trusted him, so he used him. The camera guys were Matt's guys. I mean, we know, listen, for the tag team Apocalypto, we know for a fact that it wasn't fucking Impact or Anthem that was paying for this shit. Why? Because Charlie was there with his Modern Vintage guys, and half the fucking tag teams were Modern Vintage roster members.
Right.
It's not Impact. This was a North Carolina deal. This was a regional deal. They took talent from North Carolina, South Carolina, the surrounding Mid-Atlantic area. It was Matt Hardy and Jeremy Borash, who I know is associated with Anthem, but they created it outside of the contract. They brought it to TV, but it was created outside of the auspices of the Impact brand, let's say. So I don't fucking know.
I hope
so.
I hope.
It would be a nice gift for SummerSlam, that'd be sure.
For real.
Listen, I will say this. for the first time ever last night on Raw, you heard the commentators acknowledging the delete and the obsolete and the broken. They mentioned all three of those things.
Yes.
So
Wonderful.
right, exactly. So I think the fact that they're starting to acknowledge it, I think it's a matter of time.
I hope so.
I knew they'd come.
I knew you'd come. Oh, those guys are so great. I wish nothing but the best for those guys and their families. Of course, they've kind of are. They don't need my fucking well wishes. They're already there. They're back in the top, man. Did you hear? Oh shit! Did you guys hear before we get going? Did you hear on Raw last night when Booker T was talking about the Hardys? He goes, 2017, 2020, 2040, they're gonna be wrestling forever. I don't even know. They're just and then all of a sudden, Corey goes, Booker, do you smell toast? Like he just basically asked him if he had a stroke live on air. He's like, "You smell toast? What's wrong?"
It's really true, though. Like you feel like they're gonna go forever.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen. As long as they're not doing all of the crazy stunts and shit, they could wrestle for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan still wrestles, and I think he used to wrestle Abraham Lincoln at one point. If he can still wrestle.
That's where the 2x4 came from?
Yes.
Hacksaw's still over though.
He is still over. I mean, let's be real.
He's the best. I love him.
I think he should have been Jason Jordan's dad.
Oh God.
Well, tough guy, about 20 years ago, I slept with a hoe!
And on that note,
yes. Ladies and gentlemen, wait a minute. I don't need to do the plug this week. You know why? Because our man, Donovan Dijak, was nice enough to say a few words about the War Report, brought to you by TagMeADate.com and TagMeADate.com in general, the first and only dating site for wrestling fans. So let me go ahead and pull this up. Here we are. I guess we should mention this because he did talk about this after recording it. His wife would like to mention that Dijak is married. So don't try and find Dijak on tagmeadate.com because I think Mrs. Dijak would have an issue with that.
yes.
She would probably be way more angry. I mean, I don't know who's worse. You make Mrs. Dijak angry or Mr. Dijak angry. One of them is going to be, bad day for you.
As long as Rebby is not angry.
Oh, oof. You know what? You talk about 5 feet of fury. Whoo.
Mm.
Oh, God.
Oh, listen, I don't know if the match would be any good, but could you imagine Rebby against Alexa just talking shit to each other?
Love it.
Rebby, listen, and I know, Rebby's kind of got a reputation with some people at WWE because she had some things happen with a former employee that she was in a relationship with, and it didn't end well. And I won't get into all that, but I don't think they're going to bring her on TV because they might see her as not a liability, but just someone that they don't want to put on television due to her past experience. That was it was a weird circumstance. It was a long time ago. I'm sure if she just, if they talked about it, they could smooth things over. But I think at least for the time being, they're not going to put her on television. But enough with that. Let's listen to Dijak, who, again, was nice enough to not only come on last week, so go to our YouTube page, the Tag Me a Date YouTube. Go to youtube.com, search for Tag Me a Date, no spaces, all one word, Tag Me a Date. You'll see last week's show with Dijak, this week's show, our schedule for upcoming shows, which is 7 p.m. on Eastern Time. And we'll be live again next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, for more wrestling talk here at the War Report. Again, brought to you by Tag Me a Date, the first and only dating site for wrestling fans with a roster of over 24,000 superstars and divas. Find your tag team match. Now, here is the very married Donovan Dijak.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Donovan Dijak, and I just wanted to quickly tell you about tagmeadate.com. Wonderful website, great people, and this is a place to find a significant other for you. But not only any significant other, someone who's interested in professional wrestling. A very rare breed, I know, because professional wrestling is so weird, which is also something that I know. And sometimes it's difficult to find someone else who's interested. So check out tagmeadate.com. Find that tag team partner for you. Rapidly growing company. 24,000 people you can search from. So tagmeadate.com and feast your eyes.
All right, we'll see.